Okay, we're back with another exciting episode of On Brand Thought Leaders. I'm here with Jason today, who owns Venerable Law, and we're here to talk about how he started it and if anything's really changing the law business and how Tampa's kind of affected your market. Thanks for having me, Jason.
Oh, thank you for having me. So if something has happened in the Tampa market, it's a lot of local influx of younger business owners, especially post-COVID. We've seen a lot of folks, I think, just be fed up with working for the corporate man, if you will, going to do their own thing. Of course, Tampa is very widely known nowadays as the influencer capital. So you have a lot of folks that are just kind of doing their own thing and out on their own and learning business as they go. So it's been a very interesting market to work in, to support, and to learn and grow with a lot of younger, newer, very energetic business owners.
Mm-hmm. And you're really there to kind of help support them. So when they come on as your client, what's kind of that process?
Yeah, so we get everybody kind of from, it sounds a little bit morbid as we're talking about it, but from cradle to grave, essentially. So you're coming out of the gates. We can help you start the formation. We can help you with partnership issues. We can help you guide you through client-facing contracts, partner contracts, of course, internal processes, procedures, help set up a company and actually establish an enterprise versus a really nice job. I find a lot of people come out and they end up with really nice jobs or very busy jobs, and what they thought they were creating was a company. So we help them actually create enterprise level companies and things like that, and processes, procedures, and protections and things like that.
Mm-hmm. No one wants to just leave their job and become a glorified freelancer.
Nobody wants to do that, but unfortunately a lot of people do.
Exactly.
It's a very funny thing, and we often get, I really, really want to scale, but I don't want to have employees. I'm like, well, I don't know how you do those two things. I mean, I understand the natural, inclination to not want to have a lot of people, to not want to have a big payroll, but scaling means you can't do it all yourself. So whether it's through systems, which is more possible nowadays through AI and AI agents and things like that, but for the most part, you're going to have to find some people somehow, some way, even if it's fractional, VAs, or whatever it may be, but you're going to have to usually rely upon other people some way if you're going to scale. So that's always a very interesting thing to me. But a lot of people will say, I left working for the corporate giant because I wanted all this freedom and I wanted to do all these things, but they set themselves up for the exact opposite. And it's like, and lawyers are very absolutely number one on that list of, I'm going to do things differently, and you just do it at a smaller scale and work that much harder and do all of the things that you should not do to run a business. So it's very interesting.
No, that is super interesting, especially with AI. I'm sure a lot of business owners can think, oh, well, I've got Claude, I've got ChatGPT, they can do my contracts, they can do all that stuff. How do you feel about that?
So, probably not as negative as you would think a lawyer, would be on it. I think a starter contract is a thing. I think having something rather than nothing is a great thing. To say that Claude or ChatGPT is the end-all, be-all, I can assure you it is not. AI is only as good as the prompts that you give it. In fact, I was just reading an article today in Harvard Business Review, which I think is a great periodical, and they were talking about how Amazon was using AI, and they had AI to check AI. And it was incredible to look at it at that level because they were actually having AI do its catalog entries, and it would just come up with junk. It would just create things out of thin air. So they had to create guardrails for it. Like if it was silent in a product offering, it would just say no warranty offered. Like, no, it just was not mentioned in that brochure that you were reading, but there was in fact a warranty, or it'd make up other answers. It would change parameters on the product. It would change specs. And it was like, no, like, if it had to define and create guardrails. So if it's doing that at that some very limited level, that's an otherwise pretty easily delineated thing you can push into AI. Imagine what it's doing with legal documents. The first time my business partner saw it, he texted me during a lunch. It's like, that's it, you're losing your job, and we just did a commercial lease, sitting here at the Capitol Grill, and your day is over. And he sent me the word. I said, go ahead, send it to me. It was like 2 pages long. I said, you rent out your commercial building on 2 pages. Have fun. It'll cover stuff, and it's something is better than nothing. And if you're looking at AI versus a complete DIY, do-it-yourself product, yeah, okay, I would put that more along those lines. Are there ways that lawyers and legal professionals can use AI to make a better product? 1,000%. And that's what we're looking at, automating, creating a better product, creating guardrails for what we do. We're working on a product offering right now for a software client. I was actually on the phone with him today. He is a full stack developer. He's created this tech company, and we're working on AI internally for his company to create guardrails for his staff and sales staff to negotiate contracts. So the AI will buffer, like, these are the 10 must-haves we must have in every contract. Here are the 5 non-negotiables. And AI will be the first proof of that before it ever makes it to the legal team. And we put up essentially an AI platform where they upload the contract in, we put in the guardrails to it, and it pushes out a score for us before it ever gets to our team. And we're literally working on the beta version of that right now. So
wow, that's super impressive. I love that you're leaning into it, not scared of it, because I feel like in all businesses right now, it's going either way.
I think even more so with lawyers. I think lawyers are losing their minds, and I think they're also absolutely ignoring it. And you know, truth be told, I think the majority of the legal profession that bills by the hour, right? Inefficiency is key, right? Inefficiency is part of their model because the more time it takes them, the more money they make. Now, I don't want to make it sound like all lawyers are unethical and they're trying to, you know,
they're not
build as much time into it as possible, but that's just the model that they're used to. That's just the model they've come up with. And until someone puts a gun to their head, why would they change it, right? If I can do something and it takes me 5 hours and it legitimately takes me 5 hours, and I'm billing for each one of those 5 hours, why would I necessarily want to make it more efficient? I look at the exact opposite. Even if I was billing by the hour, which we don't, 99% of the cases we either do flat fee or subscription pricing. So efficiency is key for us, right? The more we can pump out, the more cases we can take. Us actually over the last year have actually driven down our prices. That's not something I've ever heard of in law firms. Usually every year there's an annual increase. This last year, because of 2 AI products, we took our initial offering and pushed it down to make it more accessible, to make it less time intensive for my team, and to make it more efficient all the way around for the end user. We're literally about to launch in the next 30 days, essentially like an e-com product where they can go in, fill out a questionnaire, and pump out documents. All lawyer guided, all crafted by me over 25 years of guidance. So it's better than a legal Zoom, if you will, or whatever you get off of online. But it doesn't take as much time for my team. It's very user friendly for the user, and it's getting us to that next step. Now, I think lawyers in general will always kind of go scratching and kicking into the next level of the future, but we want to be ahead of it. We want to lean into it, and I think it's just better for everybody.
And I mean, lawyers have been a profession, I'm sure you know the answer more than I do. You've been around for a really long time. I don't see you guys just disappearing off the face of the earth completely. But of course, as technology progresses, as jobs progress, as the market changes, you have to kind of adapt and move with it. So
yeah, I think it allows us to actually refine our craft. You're absolutely right. I don't think the profession is going anywhere. I think many of our colleagues probably do freak out a little bit. It's going to wipe out my job. I think you probably need to take a look at your ego and think about what it is that you do, as a professional, that if you are completely replaceable by a computer, you probably have some issues. Now, if I was just reviewing documents every day, which some junior attorneys do, and just looking for these 5 key terms, which software has been able to do for a very long period of time, then I probably would worry about my future. But literally what we are guiding our clients into now is like fractional general counsel work, where we are their full-time attorney on a fractional basis, say full-time, like in-house attorney on a fractional basis, and provide overall quarterbacking for all their problems. So a lot of the nuts and bolts can be put together by automations and streamlined processes and procedures that we set up, but the quarterbacking and the issue spotting and going I don't know. I mean, I would love for a world to replace a lot of that, but I don't know that anyone's ever really going to trust AI to fully substitute all of that. But if we can do it at a higher level, make higher and better use of our time with streamlined and automated procedures behind us, I think everybody's better for it. So
why not? It's valuable for your employees' time. It keeps you focused on all of your clients. It's a win. I love that. So we're going to pivot a little bit into the marketing. As a lawyer, you are your brand. Your name is your brand. I love your logo. It's blue, it's red. It'll be in the bottom of this the whole time. But how did you kind of come up with that? Like the color scheme, the name, and then the kind of the pressure of upholding the name?
So venerable itself means knowledgeable, intelligent, trusted, learned. My name is Jason Sampson. I didn't want Sampson and Associates. Was never like that. Just was very, to me, was me in and of it, in and of itself. And I was just like, that's a little bit linear. It's a little bit too confining. So I wanted kind of an overall brand that said more than just Jason, even though the law firm is essentially built around me. The logo's gone through a couple of different iterations. Thank you for the compliments on this is the most recent one. There's only been two, let me say that. And the firm's been in existence since 2018. The other one was just more traditional, and if you look hard enough around the office, I'm sure you could find it. I wasn't really great about the rebranding, but I actually had a couple of graphic artists, give me some suggestions, and then through my affiliation with one of the cigar companies, I did work with one of their the head of their marketing, who I know from the family and trust very much, and she loved the V and she loved the red, and she narrowed it down to about 2 or 3, and then went through just kind of the thoughts or the feelings that it evoked looking at it, and when she described this logo, I was like, I'm sold, absolutely. And she is actually responsible for a lot of the branding. If you see the Fuente Cigar Company around, she actually did a lot of that branding herself. So.
Yeah, she did a great job, because honestly, when your email comes in my inbox, I see the red V, and it kind of gives like V for Vendetta to me almost, which I'm sure, the red, it's powerful.
It's probably my wife's favorite movie, so I love it.
There you go. Let her know I said that. But you could have gone into so many different kind of law. Like, I'm sure you went to school, you're trying to pick what your niche was. What kind of drew you to business?
So it was really just a natural kind of outgrowth of who I was as a professional and where we were going. I did litigation work for the majority of my career. We don't do any litigation work, any adversarial in-court work anymore. For most of the people knowing me growing up in my legal career, that would be quite a surprise, because I kind of woke up at go F yourself. So I was adversarial, started off as a criminal prosecutor, very much like to fight. That's very much my personality. I'll take a side and go after it. After 23 years of doing that, I just, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Had always liked to focus on business and entrepreneurs. When I started this firm in 2018, I really started to think about it more so from my perspective as myself running a business. And that's the way we even got into flat fees and subscriptions, because I was like, how do I serve these business professionals better? I would see me myself when I would go hire professional service providers, like say accountants. One month my bill could be $500, the next month could be $5,000. And I'm like, man, I'm making a pretty good living. Margin on professional services is pretty good. It's not like we're selling widgets at a little bit of an uptick. And I really started to think about how is it that we can help business owners do business better? How can we help them? How can we partner with them to help grow their businesses, to help stay ahead of the curve, and just do things that can help improve the bottom line for them? Because for the most part, when most businesses think of lawyers, they think about it just as cost, which is understandable, and I get it, and everybody's got a budget, and that's, we're here to work with all of them. And I really looked at what is the differential? How can we be that distinguishing characteristic for them? How can we help them improve? It's an industry or a niche that I always liked working in. We have a companion asset protection planning company, so we started to work a lot with business owners on their estate planning, on their asset protection, blind trust and all these lovely things. And I had worked with a lot of business owners over the years doing litigation, and I had seen the pitfalls of how they would fall down during litigation, how sometimes they had all of their eggs sitting in one basket, so they could literally have multiple businesses tied into one LLC and really be in a hard position, because at the end of the day, if there was one attack, the house of cards went down in a blaze of glory. So we try to help them segregate that out, not to put too many eggs in one basket, spread the wealth, if you will, create many different layers to peel back the liability protections. But it's a natural kind of iteration of what I've been doing all the way along. I'd always been around business owners and entrepreneurs since I was a kid. Didn't really know I had that much of a fever for it until I started doing it. In fact, when you come from big law, my old law firm was top 10 largest in the world. A lot of the business things in law are kind of the annoying things. It's going on and collecting accounts and And but when I started it in 2018, I got really energized by doing it, supporting it. And now what I really find too is who better to take advice from as a business owner than someone that's in your shoes doing it on a daily basis. A lot of my colleagues sitting in the ivory tower, which I used to be there, you know, have never known your life, have never known what it is to do the grind, have never, you know, even remotely experienced what it is to run your business. And, you know, I speak from a position of, I get it, I understand. You know, I talk to business owners all the time. I had one the other day and she was very nice and she said, quite frankly, I can't see the value in providing, you know, that type of cost for what we're trying to do. And I was like, I get it. And quite frankly, my response back was, if I'm not able to deliver the value proposition to you, that's on me, that's not on you. Mm-hmm. And if you don't see the need for it yet, now I know the need is there, but I can't make you come to my side. So, you know, and I don't do it begrudgingly and I don't, you know, wish her anything but the best, but it's not a problem until it is, right? So like, but I could sit here and wait and say, okay, you know, I get it, you're on a budget right now, you don't see the value to it, you will eventually. And I always try to leave them on good terms, of course. A lot of my colleagues, I think, are super, you know, very short-sighted when it comes to that. Like, how could you dare not want to use me? I'm like, listen, I don't leave anyone with a sour taste in their mouth. Come back when you want to. Come back to us in 6 months. Come back, like, we're here for you when you think the time is right, and we're here to support you, so.
I love that. I love that kind of approach because I think when people think business law, they probably think like when it's too late, when shit's already hit the fan and they're getting sued and they're like panic Googling like business law in my area instead of having someone that's backed in their corner can help them avoid even getting to that. And yeah, when I started my business, I think the two things I got right away were an accountant and a lawyer. That's the two things you need.
Yeah, and we're working on an online course right now, and one of the things I say, it might surprise you, is like, make sure you have an accountant because like if you don't have your finances down, you don't have a business.
You're done.
Yeah, and everybody is usually like, it goes back to having a really nice job, right? Like if you don't understand like what's your profit margin, you know, what's your expected year-over-year profit, like all of these things, these are not things that, especially lawyers, are good at concentrating on. I get it. But what is it that you're really trying to build? Be honest with yourself, though, too. If you really just want a nice job, you want a little bit more freedom, you want a little bit more cash in the account at any given time, and you're okay with the ups and downs, lean into that. But don't tell me every day of the week I'm trying to scale, and take 0 steps to do it. I mean, you can tell me that, I don't know. But just at the end of the day, just be honest with yourself and what you're trying to achieve from it. But yeah, no, accountant, and it's funny you say that. I appreciate you say lawyer because I can't tell you the amount of times that people like, you know, knock on wood, I haven't needed a lawyer yet. And I'm like, you definitely have needed one, you just don't know it. And it's not a cautionary tale. And it's, unfortunately, that's a lot of marketing from my colleagues of like, come to us when there's a problem. You know, like I want to get way ahead of that. Unfortunately, the reason why I went on the side that I'm on now versus litigation is I saw so many companies, like I had one company, hundreds of thousands of dollars in litigation that maybe a couple of grand could have fixed up front. And I'm not saying it would have fixed everything, but it for sure would have saved the majority of that litigation. If they just had one simple operating agreement for the LLC, which they had none. Oh, wow. Yeah, no. And they got to litigation years later. They had a partner claim that he was owed a third of the company. He wasn't even a part of that company. He was part of a previous company. They had shut that down, started a new company. And now because they were litigating after one of the partners stole all of the money out of the account, not my client, stole all the money out of the accounts. My guy went, begged, borrowed, got all the money he could to keep the company afloat. They then went and sued him and claimed that he only owed a third of the company. And I was like, mother of goodness. Like 2 years into that litigation, I'm like, there's got to be a better way. And I get it. He was a construction company, very set in his ways. Why would I need a lawyer? I don't need a lawyer until there's a problem. You know, we could have saved a lot of money, you know, and that's really where it was one of the defining moments for me of like, how do I get ahead of the curve versus waiting till there's a reaction. You know?
If you don't want to be a glorified freelancer, as soon as you register on Sunbiz, come to Jason because you will need a lawyer. You want someone protecting you. You want someone looking after your LLC, and you don't want to get sued like that. So where can people find you, Jason?
So Instagram, we have Mr. Business Attorney, or Mr. Biz Attorney, I should say, Biz Attorney on TikTok. We have a YouTube channel. Venerable Business Law is available just about anywhere. If you search Venerable Business Law here in Tampa, We're pretty easy on, Google my business, and for sure you can reach me just even directly, Jason@venerable.law.
Thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you.